Now, Alban Kingford Bagbin is trending. He fired some missiles that has set Facebook on fire. He said John Mahama made a poor decision appointing Seydou Dana, a visually impaired man, as the Chieftaincy Minister. Take a listen.
You didn't realize it. I studied governance and leadership up to masters. So I have some of these things at hand. We want to practice them. There were some of these mistakes that cost us dearly. Let me cite another example. In our tradition, if you are not whole, can you be a chief or a queen mother? If you are not whole, can you be a chief or a queen mother?
No.
So when you form a government and make the minister for chieftaincy a blind person, and the chiefs are objecting, and you don't change it, what are you telling the chiefs?
All right, so before we get into what you also think, we went out there to ask people what they make of it. We have the president of the Ghana Federation of Disabilities, Yaofori Deborah. He's joining us now. Thank you for making time to join us. Now, what is your take on what the second deputy speaker, Alban Bagbin, has said about persons with disabilities?
Okay, we find that statement to be repugnant because it implies that when persons with disability are given positions of trust, they cannot deliver. And for that matter, we feel that it is a statement that should not be allowed to stand without being subjected to the criticism or condemnation. You may remember that he made that statement in reference to the fact that ministers appointed by John Mahama contributed towards his defeat, and mentioned Dr. Dana's position as an example. So we feel that that is not a statement to come from somebody of a high repute like the deputy speaker, second deputy speaker, who is the longest serving MP in the Parliament of Ghana, somebody who has gone through a number of countries, experiencing people of diverse qualifications, diverse professions, and contributing to nation building. And I'm sure he has come across people like David Blanket of UK, a totally blind person who distinguished himself as a minister in the British government, Labour government, holding positions like the Home Affairs, Education, and so forth.
All right.
So I think that stands to be.
Mr. Deborah, I know that you have issued a statement to that effect. How far do you intend to go with this statement?
Well, as a matter of fact, we are raising concerns to the effect that the Honorable Deputy Director, somebody of high caliber, will recognize that the statement he made should not stand, and for that matter, he should retract and apologize to Dr. Dana in the first place. Extend it to persons with disability, especially the visually impaired.
All right. Thank you very much. Yaofori Deborah is president of the Ghana Federation of Persons with Disabilities. We're actually also hoping, we know that persons who stammer in their speech have also, they're also quite livid about it. In fact, one of the producers we have here, we were hoping to have him come and join us for the conversation, except he says he's not sure if he can sustain his speech because of how angry he is. But we'll hopefully bring them onto the show sometime.
All right, so but let's see what people on the streets of Accra have been saying about this.
Once someone is qualified for a job, his physical challenge shouldn't be, limited to or restricted, shouldn't be restricted that person getting that very job. And I think we should evaluate this gentleman based on his performance when he was appointed a minister, not him being physically challenged. And I think because there are many ministers who have been appointed who are very okay physically and all that, but they end up performing very poorly. So one can be physically challenged but perform very well.
I think it's an opinion. I think it is good to give the disabled an opportunity. So if he was given the opportunity to do, he has done his bit. But the loss of NDC is a group loss, or let me say it's a contributive loss. They all contribute so many issues. So I can't really say that it's giving a power to somebody and a disabled that contributed to that loss. No.
I completely disagree with him. I don't in any way think that the person's inability to see has any effect on his ability to think and to function properly as a normal human being. So to say that an appointment of a blind person is the result for which Muhammad lost his elections, I completely disagree.
All right, let's see what people have been saying on Facebook.
All right, so on Facebook, let's take this one from Kwame Ofosu, who's replying to a previous one. All right, let's move on from Intachi 1 and go to Ghana Hene, who says once an NDC man is right, the Bagbin is right, Muhammad is full of mistakes. All right, McDelta says, my thought is, okay, let's move on, no insults, please. And we have Baya Jeremiah says, Bagbin is one of the few experienced and respectful politicians in Ghana, but this one, he had it wrong. He went beyond boundaries. He should remember that disability is not inability. He should make his campaign issues-based and not personality-based. I wish him well. Francis says, if you listen and read his recent comments, you come to understand that this man is desperate for power. And when a person is in such a situation of desperation, they behave desperately as such, my opinion, though. Even with his contribution towards the constituency is nothing but zero. He can only boast of parliamentary political experience, and that brings nothing to us over here for all these wasteful years he has been there as our MP.
Now, there have been several attacks on mobile money vendors. Some have been reported, while others have never made it to the headlines. The police are suggesting that mobile money operators should not do business on tabletop. So if you have any drastic measures to curb such happenings, share with us.
I think the whole concept of mobile money would have to be really looked at. I think these robbers take those steps knowing that these vendors have a lot of cash with them. So for me, I think the first measure is to reduce the amount of money every vendor, for example, can keep in cash with him. When these armed robbers know that, this person has just electronic cash and he doesn't have physical cash in terms of volumes that much, I think it will reduce the number of armed robbery cases on attacks on these vendors.
As a mobile money vendor, probably a small scale or something, you just can't put it at a place where it's known to be chaotic. So like a more serene place. I'm sure people want a busy road and stuff, so they might think if it's more serene, like residential areas, no one might patronize, but actually it's supposed to be taken into consideration. And also it's normal. People close like very late, around 12, people still in operation. And to stop this murder and stuff, they should reconsider the time they close.
For me, I believe that these telecommunication companies in Ghana, they have actually put measures in place. For instance, when you are about to start mobile money business, you should have a store, and then they will come in to come and check the place before they even give you license to do mobile money. So I think they should also be very careful in maybe where they site the business, because looking at location is also very important, and therefore if you don't critically look at your location, it might bring a problem to you. So I think that this challenge, it should also be a challenge for the companies to look at before they even give the licenses out.
All right, Izzy, it's time for our picture of the day. Very interesting, thought-provoking.
It's interesting too, especially because it was only yesterday that you were talking about getting married to a president, right?
Yes.
Okay.
No. I didn't say I'm getting married to a president. I said I will be the president.
You will be the president.
I will be a world leader. I am saying this. What's the date today?
Okay, today's
22nd.
Yeah.
And it is 2057. So I'm saying I will be a world leader here. Don't worry.
Okay,
don't worry.
Cool. So this is
the
image. Is this the kind of world leader you're talking about?
Here's the thing, all right? This guy looks like a warlord. Because, I mean, look at the bodyguards. They're ready to shoot.
Well, maybe it's he's more like a president who is addressing the press. Because what they're holding out there to him is like microphones.
Okay, yeah, so this one I'll agree with.
And he's reading a speech.
He's reading a speech.
Yeah.
They're trying to get information. But the bodyguards, which president walks around with bodyguards and they're ready to shoot?
Yeah, all presidents essentially. Yeah, so essentially... Oh my God!
Okay, so
if you look at the guy himself, he looks, you know, he appears to be the tiniest of them all.
Yes.
So I'm wondering how he succeeded in being made president.
He's probably the smartest.
All right.
Dynamite.
Let's look at the comments that I got. Sherry Suleimana says, inherent in the picture is a plea from the vulnerable in our societies to the government that they also have ambitions for which they must be aided to realize. It's quite kind of true. If you go back to the photo, it's probably their statement they are making to
the government
and whoever is listening that please look at us and do something about it. And Rose Ati says, I see future president in making with his bodyguards behind while journalists surrounding him to extract information as usual. Okay, which is what I also saw. Let's open up and see which are the comments that we have there.
But very interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting image. Ernest says, funny as the picture is, it shows the precarious situation in which they find themselves. It shows the undemocratic situation they find themselves, which isn't the best. Why would people be holding guns at a time when a statement was being issued? I wish the picture had portrayed the event happening in a more conducive environment. So Obama says, my observation is quite simple. The bodyguards are this very stubborn boys in the neighborhood who are very torn. The boy speaking into the mic is very serious, at school, and so dreams big and has bigger ambitions. And say, Carl says, trace this boy and get him nurtured, for he is the panacea to Ghana's predicament. Really?
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 I mean, just using his imagination.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.